So by observing the breath, I'm referring to noticing the sensations. So even the physical rise and fall of your belly and chest with each breath cycle. And you might begin to deepen your breath a little bit here, extending the inhalation a little bit. And then extending the exhalation, maybe even making the exhalation a little bit longer than your inhale. Allowing your shoulders to relax. Your arms are growing heavy into the support of your mat, the earth. Softening your face, softening your forehead and your jaw. It's easy, especially in this unusual time of our lives, to hold on to tension when we don't even know that we're holding on to it. So you might do a scan of the body, beginning with the face and the head, and just looking for any areas where you might be clenching your jaw maybe, or where you feel the result of tension from the week, stress. And just imagining a relaxation, a softening coming to that area, a melting away of tension. So particularly in the shoulders, shoulder blades, the back and the belly, just scanning on your own, looking for any opportunities to invite relaxation into your body. Continuing to breathe deeply. We'll do a couple of cleansing breaths here together. So release all of the air from your lungs. And then take your next inhale deeply through your nose. Hold it at the top for 3, 2, 1, and then release through the mouth. This can be an audible exhale. Do this again, inhaling through your nose. Hold for 3, 2, 1, and then release through your mouth. Take a couple more breaths like this on your own. Remembering to hold at the top for a couple of moments, and then sighing it out. So we're beginning to trigger the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and restore part of our nervous system, as opposed to the fight, flight, or freeze that many of us have been in off and on over the past few weeks, past month now. So we're giving that signal to the body that it's time to relax. And if there's a goal or an intention that you'd like to set for this class today or this time, you can bring something to mind now. It can be simple. And then if your eyes were closed, you can begin to open them, and then we're going to allow the knees to fall towards the right side of your mat. So keeping that wide stance on your mat. And then come back through center and allow them to fall towards the left side of your mat. So we're just tick-tocking the knees from side to side. You might move the position of your arms so that they're at your side. Opening up the sacrum here. Maybe getting into the low back as you allow your knees to fall from one side and then the other. This movement can be slow and relaxed, or if it feels good to move a little bit more quickly, or if you feel like you want to hang out on one side for a moment, you can do so. And then making your way back to center. So feet are still at the outer edges of your mat. And then you're going to draw your right knee in towards your right armpit. So left knee is bent, right knee towards right armpit. Begin to circle your right ankle, going from one direction then the other. And if it feels good to rotate that hip a little bit with your hands, meaning that you're sort of stirring with your knee here, you can do that. Letting your body be the guide, whatever feels good. And then release that foot down, and then we're going to switch sides. So taking the left knee in, drawing that towards your left armpit. Then rolling out the left ankle. And then maybe taking some movement with the hip. And then release that foot to your mat. We're going to heel toe our feet to parallel now. So your feet are going to be coming in a little bit. Have them about hips distance apart. So if you reach your hands down, you might be able to touch your heels. So that's about the distance that you want. And then your feet are parallel. We're going to come into a flowing bridge. I need to scoot down a little bit here so I have room. So this is similar to bridge pose. If you've done bridge pose, what you're going to do, we're just going to be adding in the arms. So on an inhale, begin to press into your feet and then lift your hips up towards the sky. And at the same time, allow your hands to float overhead and your arms come all the way back alongside your ears. So when your hips are high, so are your arms are alongside your ears. And then as you exhale, slowly lower your hips towards the floor. And then try to time it so that your hands come down next to your hips at the same time. So inhaling as you come up. Drawing your knees towards each other if they're splaying out at the top. Arms reach overhead, and then exhaling, lowering everything back down. And you can continue this with your own breath cycle, inhaling to come up. We'll do this a few times on our own. Again, looking for a long exhale here. We'll do 2 more full rounds. And then once you come down, hips and hands are down along your mat again. You're gonna lift your knees up and take your hands behind your knees so they're behind your thighs here. And then we're gonna begin to rock up to a seat, but getting some core engagement here. So you're going to be rocking through boat pose. It's basically just this, coming up, engaging your core, letting yourself come back down. So not just using your momentum to move yourself up into a seated position. Getting a little bit of core activation. Do this a couple more times. And then make it all the way up to your seat. Taking your time, there's no rush. So this is where a blanket might come in handy. I like to take a folded blanket. We're gonna come up to seated. And so I'm placing the blanket underneath my hips and then coming forward to the edge of the blanket. And so what that does is that allows your hips to be slightly above your knees, which helps to align your spine. And then find your strap or your belt. And so you can be sitting cross-legged and sit tall. And then find your belt and take it with both hands so that you can begin to slide your hands apart. So we're going to be inhaling our hands up into a V shape. And then as you exhale, you're going to begin to exhale your arms behind your back. So you might have to take a really long stance with your hands to make that possible. And just stop when you get to about halfway down your back. You'll inhale to come up and then exhale to come forward. So again, stopping about halfway, your arms are more or less parallel. Continuing with your breath, inhaling your hands up, strap is above you, exhaling your hands behind you. Inhale to come back up, and then exhale forward. And continue this a few more times with your own breath. Looking for length in your spine, so look for length in the back of the neck particularly. Drawing the crown of your head towards the sky. And as you warm up the shoulder joints here, you might experiment with taking a slightly shorter stance with your hands. So coming forward, that's no problem. But when you come up to go back, you might just experiment with shortening your stance a little bit. Again, walking that line between discomfort and pain. We don't want pain. And just experiment. We'll do a few more rounds. Keeping length in the back of the neck. Flowing with your breath. We'll do one more full round. Nice, you guys. And then coming back forward. So take the strap now and place it over, so I'm mirroring you, so place it over your right shoulder. So it's just draped over your shoulder. And then we're going to inhale the left arm up and then begin to allow that elbow to bend so your hand is coming down towards your, like the area below your neck. And then we're going to take your right arm out to the side, flip it so that the thumb is pointed down, and then begin to reach that hand behind your back. So you might find that your fingertips connect here, or you might find that you need the strap. So begin to draw your elbow up towards the sky. Two more breaths here. Keeping length in the spine. And then release. You can shake out your arms. And then move the strap to the other shoulder. You may not need it, but you might find, I know that my shoulders are very different. And then inhale your right arm up. Again, bending at the elbow, take your left hand out, drop the thumb down, and then reach that behind your back. So reaching for your fingertips or for the strap. So if you're using the strap, both hands are on the strap. And then continuing to lift your elbow towards the sky, keeping length in your spine, back of the neck, so your gaze is forward and maybe slightly down. Couple more breaths. Nice, and then release. You can put the strap off to the side for now. We are going to use it again. And shake out your arms. And then we're going to bring your feet flat. So bend your knees, your feet are flat, and take sort of a wide stance again with your feet, kind of like you did when we were on our mats. And then again, allow your knees to tick-tock a couple times from one side to the other. And then the next time your knees fall to the right, have them stay there. You might lift up and remove the blanket for now, if you were sitting on one. And then you're gonna draw your knees, your heels in a little bit. So your left knee might be resting in the arch of your right foot. And then we're just gonna take a twist here. So on an inhale, begin to lengthen your spine. And as you exhale, so your left hand is coming across your right knee. So again, I'm mirroring you guys here. Your right hand is back behind you. And just begin to twist. So if you're practicing for two, you're gonna want a really gentle twist here. You probably can't even go very far. Breathing, lengthening through the spine. Nice, and then we're gonna come out of the twist, but keep your right hand behind you, and then begin to lift your hips up. Sweep your left hand, your left arm alongside your ear. So your hips are lifted, your knees are still bent in that same shape, and you might take a couple of circles with your arm. And then release back down. Come back to center, and then allow your knees to fall to the left this time. Draw your heels in a little bit. We're coming into the twist, so inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, right hand crosses left knee. And begin to twist. On an inhale, gently begin to unwind, but keep your hand back behind you. Your left hand presses into the earth, lift your hips, sweep your right arm overhead. Maybe taking circles with your arm on this side. Good, and then release back down. We're gonna be transitioning into a tabletop position here. So here's another opportunity to use your blanket. So if you had it folded before, you can unfold it one level and place it under your knees. If you like, if you know that you need padding under your knees, I know I do. And then we're coming into a tabletop position. So your knees are stacked underneath your hips and your legs are about hips distance apart. And then your wrists are stacked underneath your shoulders. So if you have anything going on in your wrists, you can always come onto fists here. Otherwise, your palms are down. And then with an inhale, you're going to begin to allow your belly to drop, and then your tailbone and gaze lift. As you exhale, press your hands into your mat, round through your shoulders, allow your chin to tuck, and then scoop your tailbone. Inhaling, dropping the belly, lifting the tailbone and gaze, coming into cow. Exhaling, pressing your mat away from you, rounding through the shoulders, scooping the tailbone in cat. And continue with your own breath a few more times. We're warming up the spine, flexing and extending. We'll do one more full cat-cow. And then coming back to center when you're done, we're gonna come into plank. So you might take your hands out slightly wider on your mat. Fingertips are spread wide. And then tuck your toes under, lift your hips coming into high plank. So your low belly is engaged here. You can always come onto your knees. Otherwise, you're in high plank, engaging the core. Soft gaze, soft jaw. And then begin to bend your knees here and lift your hips up towards the sky, pressing into your hands. We're headed towards our first down dog. So keep your knees bent here. Press into your hands, especially the base of the thumb and forefingers. Your fingers might be making a slight gripping motion. You're sending your chest back towards your thighs. So long spine. And then with an inhale, lift your heels. Make your way back towards plank. Keep your core slightly engaged. And then bend your knees. Press yourself back to downward facing dog. We'll do this 2 more times. Inhale, lift the heels high. Come forward to plank. Exhale, bend the knees. Press yourself back to downward facing dog. 1 more time on your own. Nice, and then from downward facing dog, we're gonna take child's pose. So coming into a wide knee child's pose. So knees are at the outer edges of your mat, feet come together, and then you're sitting your hips back. Your arms are extended. Forehead comes down to your mat. For any reason this is uncomfortable, you can come up to table and just come down to your forearms. Let your head hang. Otherwise, wherever you are, just take a couple moments to rest. Notice your breathing. Couple more breaths here. And begin to rise up, bring your hands back towards your body, lifting up, and then make sure, look for your strap and make sure that it's towards the back of your mat. Then we're gonna make our way into downward facing dog again. So setting up, hands spread wide, press into the earth. Send your chest back towards your thighs. You might pedal out your feet here, bending one knee while straightening the other. So getting a little bit more into the hamstrings, pressing strongly into the hands. And then bend the knees and begin to walk your hands back towards your feet. So you're walking towards the back of your mat. And then when you get to your feet, stay there. So keep your fingertips on the earth. Make sure your feet are about hips distance apart. And taking a forward fold here. So knees should be bent as much as is needed so that your fingertips can touch the earth. Or you might take a hold of opposite elbows here and sway and ragdoll. So we're bending our knees a little bit to protect our low backs. And just knowing that if you ever get lightheaded or dizzy in a forward fold, then you can always just come up halfway or do a forward fold at the wall so that your head isn't below your heart. So on an inhale, slide your hands up your shins, lift up halfway to a flat back, draw the crown of your head towards the front of your mat, and then exhale, release. We'll do this again. Inhale, slide your hands up your shins, Lifting up halfway. Exhale to fold. This time, take a hold of your staff, and as you inhale, begin to roll yourself up, keeping your core engaged a little bit, and then rolling up vertebrae by vertebrae. Coming all the way up to standing. So I'm gonna face you for this. You can just sway from side to side for a minute. Nice. And then have your feet more or less parallel. They can be a little bit wide here. Then we're gonna take the strap the same way that we had it before. So you're gonna inhale your arms overhead. Hopefully you guys can still see me. And then as you exhale, you're gonna begin to bend towards the right, coming into a side bend. So I'm mirroring you. You can stay here. You might experiment with taking your left foot back behind you and to the right. Getting a little bit more of a stretch here. And then inhaling to come back to center. Exhale to the other side, so you're bending to the left. Again, either staying here or taking your right foot back behind you and to the left as well. Deepening the stretch if that feels good to you. Breathing here and then inhaling to come back to center. And then release your arms. So we're gonna do a neck release using the strap or your belt. So you're gonna lift up your right foot and then take the strap underneath your foot. So then you're holding on to both ends of the strap if you're using a strap. If there's not enough length for that to hold on to both ends, just step on one end of the strap or the belt. Just hold on. So wherever it is, just so that you can have your arm be long and then your foot is holding onto the strap, if that makes sense. So have your feet parallel here. And then inhale, lift the crown of your head towards the sky. And then as you exhale, allow your left ear to come down towards your left shoulder. So you should be you're probably feeling a stretch in the side of your neck, the right side. And it might be fine to just stay here, or if you want a little bit of motion, you can experiment with sending your gaze down towards the floor. And then maybe looking slightly up. You don't want to cause pain in your neck. So just depending on if movement feels good, or maybe stillness feels good. Remembering to breathe. And then inhaling your head back up to center, and we'll take the second side. So moving the strap or the belt underneath your left foot, holding onto it with your left hand. Inhale to lengthen, and then exhale, right ear towards right shoulder. Again, experimenting with a little bit of movement here, if that feels good in your neck. Good, and then inhale to come back to center, and then release the strap or the belt from underneath your foot. Place it aside for now. We are going to use it again. And then I'm just going to go back to the back of my mat where you guys are. And so from here, so make sure that your feet are parallel and about hips distance apart here. On an inhale, send your arms up. And as you exhale, hinge at the hips, swan dive forward, have a slight bend in your knees. Coming back into your forward fold. Inhale, slide your hands up your shins, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold, bend your knees, and then begin to walk your hands forward, coming back into a plank, high plank. Low belly is engaged. On an inhale, shift your weight forward a little bit, and then exhale, lower down to your knees, belly, and chest. Draw your elbows towards your ribs as you come all the way down. So hands are underneath your shoulders, and as you inhale, press your hands into the earth. Lift up to baby cobra. Exhale, fold. And then on an inhale, press up into table and make your way back to downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths here. On an inhale, draw your right knee towards your nose, round through your shoulders, and then step your right foot through between your hands. You can help it along as much as you need to, taking your time. So we're starting in a high lunge, but we're immediately going to move into warrior two. So you're going to spin your back heel down, looking for heel to arch alignment. So heel of your front foot is in line with the arch of your back foot. Front knee is bent, and then cartwheel your arms up. So your arms are out at a T. Look down to make sure your front knee is not going ahead of your ankle. Inhale, roll your shoulders up to your ears. Exhale, roll them down your back. So your gaze is over your front fingers, your right fingers. And breathe. And noticing there's a tendency in this pose for the front knee to fall inward a little bit. You can even take your hand to your thigh. Press it back slightly. And from here, we're going to reverse our warrior. So flip your front palm up to the sky. Inhale, lean forward, scoop the air, and then exhale, allow your right hand to come overhead. Your left hand comes down your back leg. So just resting anywhere but on your knee joint. Breathing, noticing if your front knee came inward a little bit. See if you can draw it back out to the right. Good, on an inhale, come back to warrior two. And then as you exhale, allow your right forearm to come down to your right thigh. We're headed towards side angle. And then draw your left arm alongside your ear. So you still have the same stance. Your gaze can be a little bit up towards the sky if that feels okay in your neck, or just straight ahead. You're breathing here. Your left fingertips are reaching towards the front of your mat. Softening your jaw and your face. Inhale, reach your left fingertips a little bit more. And then as you exhale, allow your left hand to come down to the earth. Bring your right hand down to the other side of your foot. So your hands are framing your foot. And then you're lifting your back heel. So you're in a lunge again. So we're in a runner's lunge. So you can stay here, option to take a twist. So bringing your weight into your left hand. And I'm going to take my left hand off the mat, allowing your right fingertips to reach high. Again, this is optional. Inhale, reach your fingertips higher if you're in the twist. Exhale, lower your hand down. And then we're going to make our way back into a high plank. Inhale, shift your weight forward. And then exhale, lower your knees, belly, chest, or flow through chaturanga if that's in your practice. Inhaling, lifting up to baby cobra or up dog. Exhaling, making your way back to downward facing dog. You can go through table if you'd like. Take a couple of breaths here. Pressing firmly into your mat with your hands. Inhale, draw your knee towards your nose. Exhale, step your left foot through between your hands, taking your time to get there. And we'll take the second side. So spinning your back heel down, looking for heel to arch alignment. Cartwheel your arms up, warrior two. This time flip both palms up towards the sky. Inhale your shoulders up to your ears. Exhale, roll them down your back. So palms are facing up. Noticing if your left knee is falling inward. See if you can draw it out to the left. Gaze is over your left fingertips. And you're breathing. Inhale, shift forward, scoop the air with your left hand, and then exhale, reverse your warrior. So left arm is overhead, right hand is down your back leg. Inhale to come back to warrior two. And then exhale, lower your left forearm onto your left thigh. Sweep your right arm alongside your right ear. Fingertips are reaching towards the front of your mat. And you're breathing. Inhale, reach your fingertips a little bit more. And then exhale, make your way down into a runner's lunge. Spin your back heel up. So staying here in this runner's lunge, or taking the twist, allowing your right hand to come off your mat to the right, sweeping the left fingertips high. Inhale, reach your fingertips higher if you're in the twist. Exhale your hands down, bring them back to frame your foot, and then we're gonna step forward, coming into a forward fold at the top of our mats. So your head is hanging. On an inhale, lift up halfway to a flat back. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, press your feet into the earth, bend your knees as you root to rise, sweep your arms overhead, lift your gaze. Allow your palms to meet as you exhale them down in front of your heart. Inhale, reach your fingertips high, lift your gaze. Exhale, swan dive forward, coming back into your forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Bring your hands down to your mat and then take your right foot back. So we're coming back into that runner's lunge. And then we're gonna allow the right knee to come down to the mat. So this is also where I like to pad my knee. We're coming into a low lunge here, Anjaneyasana. So pressing your front foot firmly into the earth. Inhale, reach your fingertips overhead. Arms are alongside your ears. Back toe can be tucked or untucked. You might lift your gaze. And then bring your hands to your hips. Tuck your back toes under. We're getting ready to lift up into a high crescent lunge. So you're gonna press strongly into your front foot and then lift your back knee. Hands are on your hips for balance. And then once you're here, squeeze your glutes, draw your inner thighs towards each other. This is to protect your hip joints. Press firmly into your front foot, again, making sure that your front knee is not going ahead of your ankle. If you'd like to sweep your arms alongside your ears, you can do that. Totally optional. You'll have more balance and stability if your hands are on your hips. And then again, you can stay here, option to take a twist. So you're gonna bring your hands into prayer if you're taking the twist. And then lower down, cross your right elbow over your left knee. And then begin to twist to the left so your palms are pressing together. You're lengthening your head, your spine towards the front of your mat. Pressing your palms strongly together will help. Nice. And then release down, bring your hands down to frame your foot. Step back into plank. And then flow through a vinyasa here. So inhaling, shifting your weight forward. Exhaling, lowering knees, belly, chest, or through chaturanga. Keeping your elbows drawing in towards your sides. Inhaling to press up. Exhaling, downward facing dog. On an inhale, step your right foot through in between your hands, again, taking your time. Coming into that runner's lunge, and then allow your left knee to come down. And then on an inhale, press into your front foot, lengthen your arms alongside your ears, lift your gaze. Soften your jaw and your face. And then we're getting ready to press up. So bring your hands to your hips, tuck your back toes under if they weren't already. Press strongly into your front foot, lift your back knee. Squeeze your glutes, particularly your left glute. Draw your inner thighs towards each other energetically. Option to sweep the arms overhead. And then option to take the twist, bringing your hands into prayer, drawing your left elbow across your right knee, pressing your palms together. And then release your hands down to frame your foot. Rock forward, step forward into your forward fold. Inhale to lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Allow the palms to meet. Exhale your palms down in front of your heart. Inhale, send your arms high again. Lift your gaze. Exhale, fold forward, coming into your forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Bring your hands down to your mat, and this time step your left foot back. We're coming into Warrior Two just for a moment here. So you know what to do. Spin your back heel down. Look for heel to arch alignment. Cartwheel your arms up. And then once you're here, we're going to come into triangle. So to do that, we're going to take a slightly shorter stance. So you're going to heel toe your back foot in a couple of inches and then straighten your front knee. And then you'll shift your weight back towards the back of your mat. So your hips come back a little bit. And then inhale, reach your fingertips forward, your right fingertips. And then exhale, allow your right hand to come down to your front leg. So again, resting anywhere but on your knee. And then take your left fingertips high. So imagining that your arms are on one plane, one on top of the other. And then your fingers are active here, your left fingertips are reaching, your feet are even active. Imagine that you're trying to stretch your mat in between your 2 feet. So that's the action of the legs. And you're breathing. We don't want to forget that. Couple more breaths. And then on an inhale, begin to come all the way up, bring your arms up to a T, and then we're gonna pivot our feet so we can take the second side. So right toes come in, left toes point out to the back of your mat, looking for your heel to arch alignment, shift your right hips back. Inhale, reach your left fingertips forward, and then exhale your left hand down to your leg. Reach your right fingertips high. Imagine that you're stretching your mat in between your 2 feet, keeping your legs engaged. One more breath. And then on an inhale, come all the way up. Bring your hands to your hips. Rotate your left toes towards, so that they're parallel with your right toes. We're coming into a wide-legged forward fold. You might widen your stance a little bit. You can just heel toe your feet out if that's comfortable for you. And you might be a little bit pigeon-toed. So then from here, you'll inhale, lengthen your spine, and then exhale, hinge at the hips, come forward. Coming down to your fingertips to start. And then you can allow your head to hang here. So you can experiment with maybe a wider stance from here. Option to interlace the fingers behind your back and take your hands overhead. That's gonna get into the shoulders a little bit more. You might sway a little bit from side to side. Allow your head to be heavy. Reach your hands away from you if they're overhead. And if your hands are overhead, allow them to come down to the earth. On an inhale, lift up to a flat back, just like we did before in our forward fold. Take a couple of breaths here. Draw the crown of your head towards, well, it's not the front of your mat anymore, so whatever is in front of your head. Finding length in the back of your neck. And then release. And walk your hands towards your left foot. You might take one or both hands to your left ankle or calf. Just getting a little bit of a stretch on that inner left leg and maybe on the outer calf. And then walking your hands back through center towards the right side. So if you're not making it all the way onto your leg, that's okay. Just looking for some kind of stretch on the right. Nice, and then coming back to center. Actually, scratch that. Walk your hands back to the right and then bend your right knee. Lift your left heel. So we're making our way back into that runner's lunge. And then step back into plank. And then from high plank, make sure that your low belly is engaged. So drawing in and up. And then make your way down onto your forearms. So my hands are clasped. So we're going to do a couple of breaths in forearm plank. So your elbows are underneath your shoulders. You're breathing. Core is engaged. And then from here, press into your forearms. And then you're going to take down dog legs. So you're going to begin to, for me, I'm walking my feet in a little bit. And then lifting my hips, sending my chest back towards my thighs. Pressing strongly into my mat, into my forearms. One more breath. Nice, and then releasing your knees down, coming into child's pose. So again, it can be a wide knee child's pose with your arms extended, forehead on the mat, or again, you can be up if child's pose isn't working for you today, on your forearms and more of a tabletop. Feel your breath, feel the beating of your heart. Feel the connection of your body to your mat. Allow yourself to rest here. Few more breaths. You guys are doing great. Begin to lift your head up, draw your hands towards you, coming all the way up, and then we're going to transition to a seated position again. And have your strap nearby. So taking your time, there's no rush to get there. We're going to be coming into staff pose, Dandasana. So that's where your legs are straight out in front of you. We're going to use the strap here. So you're going to take the strap, so bend your knees if you need to, so that you can get the strap behind your feet, behind your toes, the base of your toes. And then slide your hands along your strap. So letting your knees, you can still have a micro bend in your knees, but generally they're straight. And then sliding your hands back so that you can have length in your spine. So this is where we're starting. And then inhaling to lengthen, lifting the crown of the head towards the sky. As you exhale, begin to walk your hands along your strap. So again, it's okay to have a slight bend in your knees. We're looking to bend over, extend our torso over our legs, and depending on how flexible you are, we want to maintain length in the spine. So that means not collapsing like this, but just having, the minute you feel that length start to dissipate, then stop. I'll be giving out no prizes for flexibility today. So keeping a long spine and noticing sensation in your legs, noticing if you're feeling a stretch in your hamstrings, your calves, your feet. Good, and then release the strap and bend your knees as much as you need to so that you can take your hands behind your feet, behind your toes. And then you might stretch them out a little bit, stretch your legs out a little bit here. And this time you can allow your head to come down towards your knees. If you're practicing for two, you might take this into more of a butterfly. So allowing the soles of the feet come together so that you have space for your belly, and then letting your head hang. Couple more breaths. Nice, and then on an inhale, begin to rise back up. We're gonna be coming into a reverse plank. So what that looks like, I'll switch directions here so you can see. So your legs are out in front of you. You're bringing your hands back behind you, underneath your shoulders. Fingertips are pointed towards your hips. And then you're gonna lift your hips up. Lift your gaze. Breathe, you might point your toes. See if you can lift your hips a little higher. Inhale. And then exhale to release. Nice, and then we're gonna be coming into another final core bit here. So we're gonna be coming into a variation of boat, which is what we were doing when we were rocking up. So you're gonna have your feet, your knees bent, and then taking your hands behind your knees again. Begin to rock back a little bit, and then lift one foot and then the other. So your calves are parallel to the earth. And then engage your core, and then see what it's like to take your hands away from your legs. So my fingertips are pointed towards my feet. My hands are right next to my knees. And then from here, so you can stay here, or try to do a toe tap with your right foot, right toe to the earth, left toe to the earth. So alternating, breathing. This can be fast or slow. A few more. Great, and then take a hold of the backs of your knees again, the backs of your thighs, and gently roll all the way onto your back. Draw your knees into your chest. Take the strap or the belt here, and I like to take this and have it around my shins, helping me to draw circles with my knees. And you can change directions here. You might be rocking the hips from side to side. So the strap just gives a little bit more leverage, for me anyway. Okay, then release the strap. We're gonna be coming into a supine twist to the right. So just allow your knees to, well, actually, what I'll recommend is bring your feet down to the earth. Shift your hips to the left a little bit, and then bring your knees back to your chest. Then allow your knees to come down to the right. So your left leg is stacked on top of the right. more or less. And then your arms can be out at a T. Your gaze is overhead. Or it could be slightly over your left shoulder if that feels good in your neck today. Sometimes I like to straighten my top leg. That gets into the IT band a little bit. So you can play with that. And getting ready to switch sides. Begin to shift your hips back, coming back to center. And then shift your hips to the right a little bit. Draw your knees towards your chest and allow your knees to fall down to the left side of your mat. Again, gaze can be overhead or slightly to the right. We are looking for both shoulders to be on the mat, so you might need to make some adjustments. My right shoulder is still a little bit lifted, so don't stress if that's happening to you too. But we're looking to have that, the upper torso, upper back somewhat even here. Notice any difference between this side and the other. We're rarely symmetrical in our bodies. So in yoga, we like to observe differences and symmetry without judgment, just noting things. And we do that because it draws us into the moment. That's also partly why we focus on the breath. Couple more breaths here. And then making your way back to center. We're headed towards Savasana next, which I recommend staying for, arguably one of the hardest yoga poses, but you're welcome to take any final movement before Savasana. So that could be a happy baby with the soles of your feet pointed up towards the ceiling, taking a hold of the outer edges of your feet, rocking the hips from side to side, or any other movement that you feel drawn to take before coming into our final resting pose, which allows the body to fully incorporate the benefits of the physical asana practice. So when you're ready, you'll just allow your legs to stretch out long, putting on any extra layers. We'll just be here for a few moments. Your arms can be alongside your body, or on your hands can be resting on your belly and chest. So whatever feels good to you. Savasana.